Kadosh Boker Or Beki'im halacha 6, Siman 167. Okay, this is Kuf Samech Zayin, day 94, page 222. Yeah, 222. 222. Yeah, halacha Kev Gimel. Okay, everybody has it? It goes like this. Lo yafsik bedibur b'mikat hamotzi leben hate'ima. Do not make hafsek bedibur between hamotzi and the te'ima. Va'afilu la'anot dvarim shebikdusha. Even to answer dvarim shebikdusha. For example, Kaddish, Kedusha, lo yafsik. Ubdiavad, if you did make a hafsek, that means you made a pasek. Dvarim shebikdusha. Or you did answer a man after bikat atzmo. Eno chozer umvarech. You do not make another beracha. Safek berachol lakel. Meaning, lecha techila asul lafsik. Even for dvarim shebikdusha. But he says, b'diavad, if you did it, safek berachol lakel, you don't have to make another beracha. Look at 182. The Eliyarabba, the Eliyarabba ruled that if someone responded to a man before tasting the bread, it is an interruption, and he has to say the bracha again. The Me'idi, however, ruled that it is not a fatal interruption. The Mishnah Berurah suggested this halacha is connected to a debate between the Taz and the Magen Abraham. In practice, the Kaf HaChaim Sofer, he concluded that one must not say the bracha based on Safek Berachol Hakel. He added that the same applies to someone who responded to a man to his own bracha. Although it's wrong, it's not considered that mamash it's a bracha vatala, and therefore the Rishon LeZion he agreed with this. So Rabbi also agreed that it's going to be okay. What does that mean? Again, lechatchila asur la'anot even on dvarim shebikdusha. But b'diavad im kenanita, right? Safek berachol hakel, you do not make anu beracha. Halacha kaf dalet. Im ifsik bedibur achar shebirech v'ta'am min ha'ma'achal. So you already tasted, but adayin lo bara. Yeah, you tasted, you didn't swallow. Remember, when the halacha speaks about that you're allowed to talk, it's only after you swallowed. Atabolea. It cannot be before the bliyah. So you just put it in your mouth, and now you answered, right? Ela rak netano betoch piv, eno tzarich lachzor levarech. Again, you do not need to make a beracha. מכל מקום לכתחילה לא ידבר אפילו בדברי תורה שיבלע מן המאכל, ומותר לענות אפילו לכתחילה דברים שבקדושה אחר שנתן לך בתוך פיו, אפילו עדיין לא בלע ממנו. לכן מותר לענות אמן אחר ברכת חברו, אחר שנתן המאכל בתוך פיו. So here there's going to be a difference. Here, לכתחילה, right, you're allowed to even come and answer, right, the second that you put the food in your mouth, okay, but here the question is other things. So other things, for sure not. Okay? Yeah, לאו דווקא דברים בטלים, אפילו דברים שבתוך הסעודה, and things like that. You understand?
נגיד משהו בפה, כאילו גם אם זה דבר בשביל קדושה, אבל עזוב, אם הוא אמר. יש מסכת דרך ארץ שכותב שם שאי אפשר לדבר שום דבר עם דברים שבפה, זה לא כאילו סתם אני משהו מהעולם.
I don't know if that's written מפורש in halacha, I apologize. It's written, אין מסיחים בשעת הסעודה, שמא יקדים קנה לוושת. לא כתוב בגלל שזה הלכות דרך הארץ. It's not written.
That's what is written.
Yeah, nafkamina, I can't come and tell a person that's eating with his mouth full that he's over on the Yisur of derech eretz. More than that, it says in halacha, yimalefi tilatecha, kol hayom, right? Yimalefi tilatecha, so מכאן לומדים שאסור לברך אם יש אוכל בפה. לא כתוב בגלל שזה לא דרך ארץ, רק כתוב בגלל ימה לפי כל פי. It's not, I apologize, I don't think that that's written in halacha. Yeah, it's a din. You're going to tell me it's not etiquette, but no, it's not halacha. I cannot come and bring halacha from that. So therefore he says, if you already came and you put the food in your mouth, right? So again, and you spoke, so you don't have to make a new bracha. But lechatchila, right? He comes and he says, you shouldn't even speak in divrei Torah, but you're allowed to be oneh afilu lechatchila dvarim shebikdusha. Okay.
What's the difference between the dvarim shebikdusha and divrei Torah? What's the difference?
Because divrei Torah, you could wait, you could do it in your mind, you could you don't need to do anything, right? I could also le'arer divrei Torah. There's no isur. Here, it's dvarim shebikdusha. It's either you answer amen or you don't answer amen.
About Birkat Re'amim, and like if you say a barak.
That's bracha overet. That's something else. It's not nothing to do with that.
No, but what about if the barak is outside and you have food on your mouth? Can you say the bracha?
Why not?
Could be
No, you don't. No, there's bracha overet. There's something else. Okay, 183. Yeah, according to the Shnei Luchot Abrit. Yeah, so he comes and he says like this. He says, according to the Shnei Luchot Abrit, Birkat Avraham, Magen Abraham, Rabbi, of Moshe ben Hariv, Harav Zalman, and other Achronim, one must refrain from speaking about things that pertain to the meal until after one swallows the first bite of the bread. The responsa, alachok tanot, moruksia, and talorot, and others are overruled, that once a person has taken the first bite, he has begun his meal. And even before he swallows the first bite, there's no longer a problem of interrupting in speech. The Rishon LeZion found support for the position in the writings of the Rabbeinu of the Meiri and the Leket Yosher. Nevertheless, he concluded that one should avoid speaking until after swallowing, in deference to the position of those poskim who forbid it. If someone did interrupt before swallowing, even the Shlei Luchot Abrit agreed that he must not repeat the bracha, right? Based on if someone hears Kaddish Kedusha before swallowing, he may rely upon those Achronim who permit speaking at this time and respond amen or the appropriate verse. The Rishon LeZion now ruled that when eating or sucking a candy, a person may speak as soon as he swallowed any bit of the candy as it melts in his mouth. If someone spoke sooner than that, then as long as he's been able to taste the candy's flavoring, he does not have to repeat the bracha. Likewise, when someone recites a bracha over chewing gum, once the flavoring reaches his throat, he may speak. Yeah, the flavoring. So mamash, that means he started chewing it enough that you taste the flavoring, now you're allowed to speak. Okay? Yeah. Kaf Hey, halacha 25. Yeah, im sochechu benehem ha-mesubim kodem shitamu min hapat, achar shabotzeah birech v'ta'am be'atzmo min hapat. What happens now if you have that? What happens is the mesubim are speaking between themselves. Now they didn't eat yet, but the person that did the betziat hapat, he did taste the bread. Right? That means again, he comes, he says the Hamotzi, he put the bread in his mouth, and now they start talking. Yeah, so he says nechleku bazer rabotenu. Right? There's going to be a machloket rishonim v'achronim. Do you have to make another bracha? La'alacha nireh she'enam chozrim levarech again saveh berachol hakel v'tov she'iraru bracha b'libam. They just think about the bracha in their mind. Right? Why? Because it's machloket. Yeah, them. Obviously, the guy that did Hamotzi didn't do anything wrong. Right? It's them. So they are the ones that have to do that. So let's see the footnote, 184. The Rokeach ruled that once a person recited the blessing has tasted the bread, all others have already fulfilled their obligation. Even if they would now speak before tasting the bread, it would not be necessary for them to repeat the bracha. Okay, so this is the Rokeach. Right? The Bet Yosef disagreed with this. He explained that when a person recites the bracha on behalf of everybody else, it's as if that they did the bracha themselves. But one second, if they spoke before eating, so again it makes a bracha al-vatala. So therefore, what does it help now that the guy that made the Hamotzi, he tasted it? It's kilu he made the bracha for me. But if I didn't taste, so therefore what does it help? So therefore, lo meshoneh, shmiya ze klum. Therefore, he will need to repeat the bracha himself. The Rama ruled leniently like the Rokeach, but many achronim, the Pri Chadash, Magen Abraham, Rabbi, Erech HaShulchan, Zechol Yitzchak, Harav Zalman, the Mishnah Berurah, they agree with Maran. You know? The fact is, however, that the Ritva and the Rabbeinu of the Aviezri, they agree with the Rokeach. So the Kaf HaChaim Sofer concluded that it is an instance which we must follow the full ruling of Maran, although we usually say even when it goes against Maran. He reasoned that in this case, the people who have spoken never recited the bracha. They only listened to someone else's bracha. So in this case, it would not be so terrible if they would now recite the bracha for themselves. Meaning like this, for you yourself to repeat the bracha, you've got a problem. Right? But here, you didn't say the bracha, you heard it. So therefore, for me to repeat the bracha now, right, the pagrav, it's not the end of the world. Right? Why? Because, okay, I didn't actually say the bracha. I heard it from someone else. So therefore, to repeat the bracha is zelo sofa olam. So because of that, right, since it's not the end of the world, so therefore you could do the bracha again. That's what the Kaf HaChaim...
The piece from the Balabait, because if he doesn't have, we have the problem maybe of Lechem Mishneh also, for the Mesuvim.
Forget about Lechem Mishneh now. Forget about Lechem Mishneh. We're not talking about Lechem Mishneh. Here we're talking about that you just are being Yotzei Chovah with Hamotzi. right? Even if it's not Lechem Mishneh, you're somewhere, right? And again, he's making a Hamotzi. Yeah.
Does that mean that you're supposed to have the same kavanot than when you do kiddush? When you do kiddush, the three brachot of kiddush, you're supposed to have the kavanah.
Remember, kiddush and Hamotzi is two different things. Kiddush is birkat mitzvot. Hamotzi is birkat nenin.
So you're not supposed to have the kavanah that you're doing it for them, and they're not supposed to have the kavanah.
No, that for sure. That's any beracha. Any beracha where you motzi someone else yedei chova, even if it's going to be birkat nenin, right? You need the kavanah of the motzi, right, and the one that is going to be the latzet, the receiver, right? Yatsa v'motzi, right?
So
that for sure. If you don't have that, that doesn't help. If I just made shakol right now, right? I didn't have you in mind. You can't just come and take your drink and just drink. I didn't have you in mind. Even if you did have in mind, doesn't help. Now let's say I had you in mind, right? But you didn't have in mind. What does that help that I made a shakol? Right? You need both, right? And that was the you remember the shamayim, right? No, you remember? We spoke about it. We said shome'a, mashmi'a, yachdav mechavnim. That's shamayim. That's a Ben Ish Chai. The Ben Ish Chai says that, when they used to say, bishutchem, many times they used to answer shamayim without bishut shamayim, just shamayim. So if you say bishut shamayim, it makes sense. Bishut shamayim means bishut HaKadosh Baruch Hu, bishut shamayim. But if you just say shamayim, what's shamayim just by themselves? So he said that was a pshat. Shomea mashmiya yachtav mechavnim. Zot omeret she'anachnu mechavnim shtem. Two people. The one that's shomea, the one that's listening. Mashmiya, the one that's saying it over. Yachtav, both of them together, mechavnim, are having the kavanah to be Yotzei Chova, to be motzi and Yotzei Chova. Both of them. That's the pshat. That's the explanation when they say shamayim. Yeah, when they say shamayim. Right, that's the explanation.
Actually, say your intention, or you can just think it.
No, you can think it obviously. Okay. No, but they said that there was a minhag. There was a minhag in the in Bavel and other things like that they used to do shamayim, even without bishut shamayim. Shamayim. So what was shamayim? Shamayim. He said that was the kavanah in it, to pay attention that we're being Yotzei Chova, because that's why he's saying bishutchem. Pay attention. Shamayim. We're having kavanah as well. You understand? So that's the.
You said the interruption between
we're not going to get anywhere here. We have to, huh?
Huh?
No, okay, fine.
Sorry,
No, continue. No, I know we're in the middle of a recording, but okay, but then afterwards. No, okay, we'll go.
But if you before that, after you did netilat and you said your bracha, can you answer amen to another bracha?
After netilat yadayim, of course you could. After netilat yadayim, before Hamotzi is completely different than after Hamotzi before things. Yeah, for sure. That according to I think everybody, if I remember correctly. The Rishon LeZion pointed out that the Sefer Ol Moed ruled clearly that once someone listens to another beracha is intending to count, right? So he has no permission to say beracha himself afterwards. He's already fulfilled his obligation of saying the beracha, and if you would repeat it, again, it's a beracha levatala. In our case, therefore, it's very much the same. So even though those people had not yet said the beracha verbally, if they would now say the beracha, again, it's a beracha levatala. The Ben Ish Chai and the Rav Pa'alim was asked by scholars of Baghdad yeshiva to rule in this case. He replied that although many Achronim disagreed with the Rokeach, we still must take his opinion into account. After all, we say sabal, safek barachol lakel, even when it goes against Maran. Furthermore, some of the major poskim also agree with the Rokeach. He protested that the scholar's argument that the ruling of the Rokeach is senseless, saying that it is sinful to think that about that the Rokeach is senseless. He says, saying that it's sinful to think about the ruling of the Rokeach, the Rozarua, the right, the Ramah, the Levush, the Bach. I mean, there's a lot of people, right, that they hold like that. So you can't do that. Although obviously there's the poskim knew the Maran's argument to the Rokeach, and they still sided with him. So the Rishon LeZion wrote that there is some basis for the position of the Kav Chaim, since some Achronim rule that we never follow the principle of Sabal if it goes against Maran. Furthermore, some poskim claim that the rule of Saveh Berachol Hakel does not make it all right to eat, right, the food without a bracha. Nevertheless, he concluded that we still follow the Rokeach in practice, and therefore the conclusion is, right, of Vadia and also this is that basically you just do hirhur belibo. That's what he says, right? Which actually it makes sense, right? So basically, one more time, right? We've got a huge machloket achronim. You've got the Rokeach coming and saying that the fact that he tasted it, right? He comes and he says he tasted the bread. They already fulfilled their obligation, and therefore that's it, right? And therefore they could talk now because and it's not that the lechatchila, but if they spoke, nothing happens. The Bet Yosef this argued with this, and he says, I'm sorry. It's as if that you do the bracha yourself. If you do the bracha yourself, you didn't eat, you have to do the bracha again. Right? The Ramah went like the Rokeach, A lot of the Achronim went like Maran, but there were certain people that went like the Rokeach. So the Kaf HaChaim itself says that usually you say Sabal, here you do not say it. Right here you don't say Sabal B'Rachol Akel Keneged Maran. And he basically just said is because at the end of the day, since somebody else did the Bracha, so therefore there's no big deal if you're going to repeat the Bracha. The Rishon LeZion argues on that. He says, no, if the second year you say the Chovah, right, that's it. You do the Bracha. So therefore, you can't just come and do the bracha again. However, though, the Ben Ish Chai comes and he says, we take it into account. We do say Safar Bracha Lokel, Keneged, right, Maran, also this case because of the Rokeach and other Rishonim, Acharonim as well. And then afterwards, the Rishon LeZion just said, the Kaf HaChaim does make sense, but we still say Safar Bracha Lokel. Okay? Fine.